Okay, so first, just introduce yourself and say what role you had in Private Eye.
Okay, so my name is Penny and I'm the writer.
Okay. So I know that there's a small team that created the game. Can you tell me about the different members of the team?
So apart from myself, it's just my boyfriend in the sort of core team, and he's the developer and he's the one that puts in crazy hours. And then we've got a number of artists also who are really great and do some really great work for us. We've also got a really great music guy who's making an original soundtrack.
The Boys in Blue.
Tell people a little bit about Private Eye.
It's basically a game made solely for VR. It's like a neo-noir thriller, and you play a detective who's been in an accident and you've lost the use of your legs, so you're in a wheelchair. And then kind of like drawing from a very like Hitchcock kind of style, we're going to have you kind of investigating your neighbours and spying on your neighbours with a pair of binoculars.
That's the first mystery solved.
And in this demo, it's all about also showing you how we're going to use that kind of like visual storytelling. This is kind of like an update on the point and click genre, where you've got to look for clues, and then as you find clues, you also unlock your memories, and then you can kind of like go into your past to ultimately solve a mystery, a series of murders.
But in the city that never sleeps, you have to wonder if you dared to open your eyes and peer into that darkness, then what would you see?
So what were some of the inspirations for the game?
So the game was obviously inspired very heavily by Rear Window, and also a lot of more up-to-date thrillers, a lot of films actually, but also just great examples of visual storytelling such as like Gone Home, for example. And also Silent Hill, definitely.
What notes have I been writing to myself? Looks like a license plate number.
One of the really great things about this game was the fact that, you were able to use the Oculus in a way where it wasn't just me moving my head around. You look at things, you investigate stuff. How much went into how you guys wanted to change the experience in VR with this gameplay?
Yeah, so we didn't want to make kind of a gimmicky experience where it was just built around like just the controls became the main event. We wanted to really interweave the controls, the new way of playing a game, really interweave that with a narrative, so concentrate on how VR can really be used to tell a story, and just really like highlight the visual exploration, because I think that's what VR is all about.
So you told me earlier that you'd never written anything for video games before. How difficult was it to start writing for this?
It was definitely challenging, like really fun at the same time. Like fun challenges. I think writing for any video game is harder than writing just a normal script, because when you add that element of interaction and weaving narratives, a script that's this long becomes this long, and there's that. But then adding that element of also writing for VR, you're constantly thinking about the user's experience. Where are they looking? How can we guide them to see what we want them to see, to have the experience we want them to have?
Right.
So it's very much a process, a conversation between me and the developer always. You have to think a lot about the user and how they're using the equipment while you're writing it.
What's the reaction been from people here at Indiecade?
It's been really nice and really supportive, and really encouraging. So it's great.
So where would you like to have this come out? Do you think it'll be out for the masses at some point?
Sure, hopefully. I mean, that's the dream. At the moment, it is kind of out for the masses who can find us.
Right.
In the sense that our 20-minute demo you can download online for free from privateivr.com. We're hoping to release another version of the demo, maybe 2 months, and then our Kickstarter. So if that's successful, we want to make it available as soon as possible. Yeah.
What ultimately, why did you guys decide to make the main character in a wheelchair?
So I think it makes a lot of sense for VR. We felt we want to really have the player have that sense of presence in the world. and we don't want to break that by having the character running around when the player is seated. So we want to mimic that sort of bodily immersion, you know. So it really makes sense to have the player seated. But also, it's really interesting to have a character who's in a wheelchair as well. And there's a lot of interesting things we can do with that. It lets us kind of limit the movement a little bit, which is nice because we want to focus on visuals. But they're definitely we're building a scene at the moment which is really exciting, where the player has to kind of like navigate their way around in the wheelchair, and that's interesting too. So,
what have you found are the most challenging things for creating the game?
I think just the fact that it's a challenge, but it's also really cool. The fact that we are sort of one of the first games that's kind of like first people that are trying to make a game like this for VR. So in many ways, particularly from a development point of view, I know that Jake has struggled a lot because there are no real solutions, and no one has really encountered the problems which we're encountering before. So in a way, there's no rules, but at the same time, that's really fun because we get to write the rules. So it's awesome.
Dave, did you have any other questions? Awesome. Well, Penny, thank you so much.
Thank you.